100 days to go until the start of the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. The U.S. women's national team are Herculez Gomez, the odds makers' favorite. But from your perspective, what's the number one thing that this team needs to resolve ahead of the World Cup?
Your favorites. Your odds favorite. Maybe the odds makers as well. But it's the number 6 position. Julie Ertz is coming back into the fold. Julie Ertz just had a baby. She actually has no club team as of late, so we've not seen her in close to 600 days. I don't know what to expect. And Vlatko Andonovski, the reason she is here is because those holes that he's tried to some way patch up in her absence haven't worked. Taylor Korniak, whether it's Sam Mewis, Andy Sullivan, nobody has cemented themselves as that odds-on favorite to be the 6th, to be the successor for Julie Ertz. So Julie Ertz is here. But until Julie Ertz can prove that she's fit and back to her old self, or one of those players cements themselves, or two, as potential, I guess, if you will, not even backups, just the next generation, somebody who will suffice there, that's a huge, huge question mark that I'm being asked, or that I'm asking of the U.S. women's national team.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a position of need. I think beyond the number 6 position, you could say the whole midfield, right? There's lots of talent in there. You got players like Lindsey Horan, Rose Lavelle. There's playmakers, elite playmakers. And yet, at the end of the day, we haven't really seen that much production, especially against the elite competition. If you go back to the Tokyo Olympics, this was nowhere near a team at its best. So I think you could really point at the entirety of midfield. And when you think about Julie Ertz, you mentioned it, 600 days since her last competitive match before the 30 minutes that she got against Ireland. Just from your perspective, where were you at, physique-wise, 600 days after your last competitive match?
There's an old saying, it takes 2 months to get into top physical form as an athlete. It takes about 3 days to lose it. So imagine 600 days. I can't imagine what she went through and now trying to come back. It's just an odd situation because Vlatko Andonovski said so himself. She needed to prove herself at the club level to warrant these opportunities. It's gotten so bad with what he's seen, at least in his eyes, that I could presume that he's like, you know what, forget what I said. Don't worry about that. I need you today. If we can get you at 80%, your 80%, I will take that over the 100% of what I've seen.
Ertz's last game with the national team, the bronze medal match, Herc, at the Tokyo Olympics. A player that the U.S. desperately needs if she can be 2019 Julie Ertz. We don't know what kind of Julie Ertz we're really going to get in 2023. Her return to the national team was one of the big storylines around the U.S. women's national team in recent days, but it's not the only one. Of course, now we know Mallory Swanson is going to miss the World Cup after tearing the patellar tendon in her left knee. This is major news for the U.S. women's national team. In the first 5 games this year for the U.S., she scored 7 goals. She was the MVP, the player of the tournament, Herc, at the She Believes Cup. I know there's lots of talent at that position, but there's not very many Mallory Swansons. In fact, there's only one.
Yeah, there's only one, and she was on a roll, especially for a player. Players go through moments where they have that I didn't get there, that bump in the road. She had that in the Tokyo Olympics. She was left off that roster, and most players would have folded, would have buckled. She did the exact opposite. She transformed herself into a better player, a more productive player, most productive player for the U.S. women's national team as of late, and her not being there, that's just another question mark. You know, can Alex Morgan get that form that she had in the NWSL? Will it translate to the national team? Because you spoke about the Tokyo Olympics for Julie Ertz. Well, that Tokyo Olympics, just in general, even for Alex Morgan, was a disappointment. Scored in the group phase, and after that, a penalty kick against the Netherlands. You could argue that you've not seen the best of Alex Morgan in a U.S. women's national team shirt quite some time. So if it's not Mallory, who will it be? Sophia Smith coming off a foot injury? Maybe a Trinity Rodman, who's not shown her best football or best brand of soccer since her rookie year? There are a lot of question marks on this team, and you mentioned it. When it comes to playing elite level, elite competition, that's where they struggled.
I think Swanson and Smith were the plan. I think that was going to be the real threat for the U.S. women's national team at this World Cup. Vlatko Andonovski is going to have to find a plan B. It's the U.S. women's national team, not just my favorite, the odds makers' favorite to win what would be a 3rd straight Women's World Cup this summer in Australia and New Zealand.
I'll take the field.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.